Howdy, gentlemen. How's it going? Your favorite commissioner come at you here for another weekly recap of the League 10. This week we are on week number 9, so that puts us pretty close to, well, I wouldn't say pretty close, but we're getting to the wrapping up the regular season, starting to realize who's going to make, who's probably going to get those week 14 buys and who's going to be playing for the plate. And everybody between is kind of a little bit of a toss-up right now. But hey, that's why we play these last 4 games. So, yeah, sorry again for not getting this to you on Tuesday. As everybody is, life's just kind of crazy with me going to doing some schooling and baby and all that other fun stuff. So, my apologies on not getting these out sooner on time, but still want to do them just because I know at least a couple of you guys out there watch them and get some entertainment out of them, or just have something to listen to on your ride home from work. So, without any further ado, we're going to dive right into the week 9 matchups, and it's kind of an interesting week because we had some historically low scores from a lot of us in the league, so it's fun to talk about. First matchup we have is between Brandon and Corey. And Brandon getting his 3rd loss of the year, 6-3 in 3rd place is Brandon. He loses 106 to 131 to Corey, who gets his 3rd win of the year, 3-6 and in 9th place. Brandon, like I said, 6-3, 3rd place. He has a magic number of 3. Corey 3-6. He is in 9th place. He has a magic number of 6. And one thing I'll say is, as of right now, nobody's officially in or out, but my little thing that I use to calculate this does not take into account, looks at, anybody who has 6-3 is tied. I mean, obviously we have points, and it also doesn't look at, the future record or the future schedule. So there could be possibilities where somebody is guaranteed in or guaranteed eliminated based on one of those things, but this thing doesn't look at it that way. So if I say somebody and you find out that technically somebody is officially in or officially out, that's the deal. So anyways, little caveat there. Anyways, moving on to the matchup we have for Brandon. He had Carson Wentz get him 24 points and Alvin Kamara get him 20 points. That was about it. He didn't have anything on his bench worth mentioning, so we won't. Corey, on the other hand, he had, like I said, 136 points. He had 33 out of Lamar against your beloved Vikings. He had 21 out of Pat Freiermuth, I think that's how you say the last name, tight end out of Pitt. And he also had 20 points out of his defense, Miami, going up against Houston. And he also had, I believe, the highest point getter out of anybody in fantasy this week, James Conner. He had 40 points. He had, 2 touchdowns, 96 yards and 77 rushing, and 96 rushing yards and 77 reception yards. I don't know how many catches he had, but anyways, that's a lot of points, 40 points. But yeah, whatever. He had Jeremy McNichols, the Tennessee running back, and Zach Moss, and as his running backs. But hey, why put up extra points when you don't need them? So yeah, that's that matchup. Let's move on to the next one. And like I said, we did have some pretty historically bad scores this week, and I would say that's best summarized in this matchup between Perk and Matt. Now I did some looking because one of the things I track for everybody is their highest and lowest score of the year. Then I also extrapolate that over the amount of time that they've played in the league. So I have everybody's all-time highest and everybody's all-time lowest scores. And Perk is now the 3rd person to score below 70 points in the league. Granted, like I said, or like we've said in the past, all years have different scoring, so I guess it's not always totally apples to apples. But if I remember correctly, Don, to nobody's surprise, put up a 64 one time. That is the all-time lowest score that anybody's ever put up. It might have even been last year when he had his blow-up when Nick pissed him off. And then the other one was Mitch. I think he had a 65 or a 66. So not saying that those guys haven't gotten below 70 more than once, but at the absolute worst, Perk is the 3rd person all-time. This is the 3rd time all-time that this has happened where somebody's got under 70. And the even funnier thing to top it all off is Matt won with a score of 98. 98 loses 99 times out of 100. This is the one time. I'd be very interested to go back and to see what the lowest winning score is. I don't track that, but one funny thing is that I think, was it Mike earlier this year, put up I think 50 points more than Matt did this week, so 147, and still lost. So record doesn't always mean, it's a pretty good indicator of your team, but not always. 98 to 68. Matt 5-4 in fourth place. Matt has a magic number of 4. Perk also 5-4, and in sixth place, same magic number of 4. Let's take a look at the matchup. Matt had Hollywood Brown go off against the Vikings for 21 points, and that was it. Again, like I said, he had 98 points. He had Darnell Mooney on his bench and Kirk Cousins on his bench, who also got 21 and 22 points respectively. And as you can about imagine, Perk did not have anybody on his team score 20 points. That would have been about a third of, if they would have, that would have been about a third of his total points. So actually his biggest point getter out of everybody on his team, bench and starters, was Justin Fields at 19, and he had him on his bench. So great management there, but don't know if it would have mattered. So anyways, and keeping with the trend of bad scores for the week, we have Nate and Nick. Nate got his second loss in a row, third overall, to drop him to 6-3. He's still in first place, but he only scored 79 points this week. Nick put up, on the other hand, 134 points, and he is in seventh place at 4-5. Nate 6-3, magic number of 3. Nick 4-5, magic number of 5. And I think I said this a while back, and I might have said it more than once. But I think I made the joke or comment, or however you want to look at it, that Nate wasn't necessarily in first place because of Derrick Henry, but it was a big factor. Derrick Henry's been out 2 weeks. Nate has lost 2 weeks in a row, and he put up a 79 this week. Do with that information what you will. Oh, and he has Chase Edmonds, who I think is also for a long time too. 79 points. He did not have anybody worth mentioning. If he did, it would have been a quarter of his points total. Nick, on the other hand, like I said, 134 points. He had 30 points out of Nick Chubb. I mean, he lost Aaron Rodgers for the week, and now he's lost Chubb for, I don't know how long Chubb was out, but for a while. And he's still, managing to get those wins. He's almost back up to 500. Also had New England's defense give him 23 points. So, yeah, there's that matchup. And then we kind of go to the opposite to what we saw this week. This was kind of the outlier, if you want to say. Ben and Mike. Now, Ben put up the third highest score of the week and lost. And, it happens. I think one time I had the second highest score of the week and lost. It is what it is. But he put up 131 this week to Mike's 145 and lost. And like I said, Ben now drops down to 3-6. He's in 8th place. He has a magic number of 6. Mike is one of the 5-4 teams, 5th place, magic number of 4. Ben got 32 points out of Justin Herbert, 34 points out of Jonathan Taylor, and he had Nyheim Hines on his bench, 21 points. That was about all that was worth mentioning, but he lost, not a whole lot to talk about on losing teams. Mike, on the other hand, I think this is his third win in a row. So congratulations to Mike on that. That's pretty cool. Like I said, 145 points for Mike. He had 20 points out of Dak Prescott, 21 out of Cooper Kupp, 22 out of Keenan Allen, 28 out of Joe Mixon. So great scores all around. Also had Devonta Smith on his bench for 23 points and George Kittle on his bench for 20 points. So not saying that Mike is, going to win the championship, but he's definitely doing his best to make a run at it. And right now he would be in one of the wild card spots, week 14, if those started this week, which they do not. And finally, the matchup of the week goes to myself and Mitch. Last week I managed to climb my way up to 9th place. I was riding a 1-game win streak, and what did you expect to happen? 72 points out of me to Mitch's 103. I am 2-7, 10th place. I have a magic number of 7. Mitch 6-3, and in second place he has a magic number of 3. Taking a look at the matchup here, again, I had 72 points. Obviously, nobody on my team got a 20, or that's a pretty safe bet, I should say. On the other hand, what's also funny, I mean, Mitch won with 103, but he got 103. Not much. He also did not have anybody worth mentioning. And between all of our matchups, the highest point getter out of either of our teams was Robert Woods at 17. And then I had Najee Harris at 16.8. So, shitty weeks for both Mitch and myself, but Mitch had the less shitty week, so he gets the win. So, congratulations to Mitch. Yeah, so I think that was all really worth mentioning. Perk got the weekly low score, so he owes $5 to the bet that we're eventually going to place, whenever that is. Let's just take a look here just for shits and giggles, since I don't think I've gone to 15 minutes quite yet like I normally do. Matt is in first place for the points, closely followed by, well, not closely, but then within 50 points are Nate, Mike, and Ben, actually. So there's that. And I continue to lead the league and points against by quite a bit, but nobody wins an award for that, or any money for that matter. Anyways, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Congratulations to you guys who won. Hopefully you all got a deer this weekend. If not, to those deer hunters out there, if not, hopefully you have some luck this weekend and fill that freezer, get something to put up on the wall. We'll see you next week.